Live 3. All right, we're live. See if there's any in the chat already. All right, welcome everyone to the November Dicebearers monthly painting event. We've got myself, Eric, and we've got Scott, Sailor Scott.
Hello.
And we've got a special guest. We've got Vaughn. Vaughn, say hello.
G'day everyone, how you going?
Yeah, so we've got Vaughn here to have a chat with us about this month's painting entries, and this month's been pretty, I have to say, very impressive. We've got lots of entries, a couple of familiar faces, a couple of new ones as well. It's going to be really hotly contested. Yeah, you've always already had a little bit of a preview. So how do we feel about the entries just as a whole before we jump into the first one? Scott.
Yeah, look, having a bit of a sticky peek. It was very awesome. Actually, I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Like just constantly getting more excited. So that's pretty cool. It's good to have a little taste of what's to come.
Yeah,
Look, I'd have to say on a whole, there's some very, very strong entries tonight.
awesome.
There's a good mix as well of some individual models. There's a good mix of some little war bands, some dioramas as well.
Yeah,
some
definitely.
monsters.
Yeah, we've got lots of stuff. We've got some mounted as well, good and evil heroes and troops. So yeah, look, we've got a lot to get through. So let's just jump straight into the first entry, and it's a big one. It is Adam coming in again this month with the Fellowship, specifically Breaking of the Fellowship. He's also got put that on a diorama base as well, but we'll talk about that in a moment. I'll start off here. Look, you know, we already know Adam's got the chops to really push out some really beautiful models, and this definitely shows. You know, everything's done super neatly. And what I really like about the overall sort of cohesiveness is he's actually gone for a like a blue, like a slightly reflective blue black cloth on a lot of the members, so it gives it a bit of uniformity or coherency. And then yeah, I really like the bases as well with the punched out leaves. It's really on hand. He's put it on the battle games of Middle Earth special base as well. So yeah, overall really like it. Actually, no, I don't think that is that one I'm talking about. No, it must be a 3D printed or something. But yeah, really cool. What do you think, Scott?
Yep, love it. I see it. I'm like sick. Like these models are ancient, right? Like they're not super new. And sometimes doing a paint job on them that kind of does them justice is really hard because the models aren't as just good as they could be. But you know, this I see it on my sick because already it, like bold colors looks fantastic at range. You know, you see like, oh, that blue, sick, 10 out of 10. Um, Also really vibing, not just the base, like we'll come to the plinth, but the actual basing, cool. Like it's leaves, you know, you don't see leaves heaps on bases, and they can be a bit fiddly sometimes to get in. So they look really nicely. It looks really nice, and you know, almost like Breaking the Fellowship scene. Like it kind of just to me in my mind, that's the scene that I see. Yeah, no, really dig it. Rate it really highly. Great job, because I see it. I'm like, yeah, super sick. Like the blue, borrow me, sick, so sick.
Vaughn?
For me, there's a lot of really good things here. Firstly, it's more than just one model. You know, we've got 8 models here. Secondly, it makes a complete army in itself, so practical, fantastic. Thirdly, it's mounted on this little diorama. I also, now that I'm looking, I can see that little I think objective marker, which is Boromir's sort of shield nestled up. I think that's great. But the best thing for me is I was actually asking you earlier today, Eric, what your favorite scene of the trilogy is. And for me, Am on Hen, 100%. And I think that this diorama, this basing, this paint scheme has really caught that sort of magic of that scene for me. So for me, this is just hitting me right up my alley. This is great. I think technically nailed all of the elements really nicely. I like the elven cloaks. I guess a lot of people have different takes on that. Is it green? Is it grey? I think this looks fantastic, and it works really nicely amongst the other blues that you guys have mentioned there. I have to disagree, Scott, with your old models. These models are excellent. These are great models. These are so good. These are better than we were saying even today. What were your favourite models for the Fellowship? But I think that the Breaking of the Fellowship models for me are probably well up there, particularly that Boromir. Fantastic. So well done, Adam. This looks great.
Yeah, and I had the privilege of actually playing this particular force at the recent Wrath and Ruin, which Vaughn yourself actually won Best Painter, so congrats on that one. But yeah, it was really awesome to play against this. I played as goblins as well, so it was super thematic. Had a lot of fun, and yeah, it's always a privilege to play with really well painted models on both sides. So yeah, awesome. All right, let's jump into the next one. We've got another returner. Just hang on here. There we go. We've got Andrew C coming back again this month with a Knight of Dol Amroth on foot. Very cool. Scott, why don't you start us off?
It's really awesome to see different color schemes. Like, I'm so used to seeing Dol Amroth with the blue, but that wasn't what actually stood out to me first. Was the red. The first thing that stood out to me was actually all the gold work and the dark armor. That is so sick. It's just like a black knight, right? Like almost like the golden swan, but with black armor. Like gold non-metallics looks fantastic. It really like helps pop, particularly against that black armor or the dark iron armor. And yeah, then seeing the red, like, sick. Because, I was just nerding out with Vaughn. I'm like, dude, you got to look at this picture. And it was the Battle Host cover, and it has the red Minas Tirith in it. Like on the front of the cover, just at the back there, there's these Pelagir Gondorian warriors, or warriors of Minas Tirith. And I'm like, oh, dude, it's red. It's so sick. And then I see this, and I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is power right here. So, yeah, awesome. I also like dig the sword because it definitely gives me the vibes of I don't want to spoil it, but there was a movie that recently dropped, and that at the end there was like a big evil sword, which was cool. So yeah, sick.
Right, Vaughn.
I mean, I think technically this is just outstanding. The non-metallic metal throughout this model is fantastic, but for me, really, as you said, Scott, is the color scheme that's really ticked the boxes for me. It's I just think there's so much satisfaction in sitting back and trying to plan a paint scheme and try and get it right amongst all the different elements to work together. And I think that Andrew's really nailed that here. So this would be so sweet to see. I don't know if he's planning on doing a full army of this, and if he does, that'd be absolutely incredible. That would look really amazing. So the red and the gold and the black, just making those former two components really pop is really cool for me. That's a standout for me on this model.
Yeah, look, you guys already touched on some of the technical aspects, but I'm just gonna mention the color scheme very much evokes a like a really D&D adventurer like knight with the gold and the strong gold and the strong reds. It's really evoking that for me, and just it really works because Tolkien is very much Tolkien's world anyway is very much the OG D&D sort of adventuring universe. So yeah, it works for me. I could totally see this as like a stand-in for one of the board games as well. So yeah, just a quick touch on the basing as well. He's gone for the flagstones, and you can see it very much color matches the cheeky Minas Tirith walls that he's used as the background. So very cool. Yeah. So moving along, we've got another Gondorian, slightly Gondorian themed model. We've got Gandalf the White. Wow. Okay. Vaughn, I'm gonna let you start because you've been messaging me already about this one. So
I'm busting to get started. This is
okay,
great. So look, the only thing that's harder than painting white, is trying to paint 3 or 4 different whites on the same model well. And I think this model does that so well. Danny's done so well with all these different colors here. So obviously we have the white, the kind of the warmish white for Shadowfax. And actually, before I move on from Shadowfax, that subtle graying on the muzzle is that. It took me a couple of moments or a few minutes of looking at this model to pick up on that, but that looks incredible. The glazing and the subtle changes to the fur on the muzzle and the face is excellent. But then comparing that to the warmer of the cloak and then the colder blue of Gandalf's robes itself, this is great. This is really good. The photo as well of his face, I mean, it speaks for itself, really. I can't say too much more about that. It's just, it's incredible. I didn't notice how like sandally his shoes were until I was spending time looking at this model. That's really cool. I just want to put someone needs to put like a little Nike sign or some red or like some Jordan hoops. That'd be really funny, actually. But now, look, I think Danny's done really well, and I'd have to say this is the pick for me of this week, this month. Sorry, so well done, Danny. It looks great.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, as you said, doing multiple whites is so hard. I think I pick up at least 3 here. You know, there's the beige, there's the there's the warm white, the beige, like the woody sort of white, and then the blue white there. So yeah, and that's super hard to pull off, and it's super smooth as well. Like anyone who's painted with white will know it gets really chalky really easily. So it can be super hard. Like if you stuff it up, like you got to start again. You know, like there's no going back. You know, you kind of do it and you go in hard, and it's really easy to go too hard on your shading on a lot of whites. Like you look at Gandalf's cloak right now, and it's like, well, if it was just one shade too brown, it wouldn't look cream. You know, it looked something else. It just looked dirty. You know, before you know it. So not always, but often you can't get away with washing on whites here, and it doesn't look like there's any here. I don't think there's any pin washing either. Like it's even for the joins, they're super super clean. It's just no pin wash, no black line, so it helps keep it nice and crispy and nice and white and clean. Eyes, always hard to do eyes really well. They look great. They're not
nailed it.
Yeah, they're not like stroke eyes, so that's a big tick. Face work, excellent as well. I quite like that you've got the gradient there on the face. It's kind of hard to tell, but particularly around the cheeks, is a bit darker than it is on the forehead, so it gives a bit more light.
Even the eyebrows. The more I'm looking at it, the more I'm seeing in that face. Those eyebrows are really, really nicely popping too. Hey.
Yeah, I thought I almost can't tell if it's his, like there's the shade underneath there from just his old man features, but looks like a very faint blonde eyebrows there above it as well.
Yep.
But I wasn't sure. I'm like, is that the light or is that just his eyebrows?
And the bottom lip, incredible.
Yeah, overall, I do want to point out the sneakers. Like I remember when I saw this in the movies, I'm like, oh, he's wearing Stan Smiths. Like, cool, because that's what it looked like. You know, he's looking some super white shoes. So, yeah, no, solid job because it's super tough to pull off, well executed, blends in really nicely with enough coloration between the 3 different whites, and they're done in such a staged approach that you end up actually separating out your colors, which is good. Well done.
Yeah, look, you guys already said it all. I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the basing as well. Super nice. It's got varied bits of foliage there as well, and just wanted to talk more about the face. It really gives. It really does the sculpt a lot of justice. I personally have this model and I've been painting it for a long time now. Still haven't finished it, but he's really pushed the sort of modern GW plastic sculpt to the limit with his painting. So very very nice. All right, let's jump into
just before we move on.
Go.
The Air Jordan idea on the sneakers, yeah or no? Bit of red, bit of color.
Look, I can like a tick maybe, or I'm more of an Adidas guy, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a fan of like Slavic Gandalf. Sorry, it's got to be the Nike
Slavic,
swoosh.
Okay. it could be
bit of freehand opportunity, bit of a Michael Jordan done.
Yeah, all Kmart shoes. All right, let's jump into our next one. So we've got David coming in with some Mirkwood ranges. Now I'm going to start. I really like how he's gone for autumn. You see a lot of green ranges out there, and he's also not shied away from the really bold yellows and reds as well. So just to start with, the color scheme already is doing a lot for me. The basing is really sick. It's got like a lot of foliage again with the tufts and matching tufts to the scheme as well, which is sometimes a little bit hard to kind of do well. And you can almost see like the tufts are really working with that elven cloak. Like you could totally see them hiding in the brushes there in an autumn setting. Yeah, I really like the scheme. Everything else has been executed really well. It's got you can see really nice contrast in the cloth there and different textures. Yeah, Vaughn, what do you think?
As I was saying with Andrew's one as well, I'm a huge fan of good, vibrant color schemes and just well executed color schemes. And I think this really, really nails that nicely. I think, whatever size army that I hope David's building up for with this scheme, I think it'll look incredible. Yeah, I'm a big sucker for the warm autumn colors. I think that's always the best way to do. Back in the day, the old school wood elves, I think they look the greatest with this autumn scheme, and I think David's nailed that really nicely. I guess the other difficult thing with big armies is incorporating them into a nice sort of setting, and I think David again has done that with this color scheme. From a technical standpoint, I really love the layering and the highlights that he has through all of the colors, really, particularly that sort of leather vest that front model there has. And then even it's that tiny little splash of cold color with the blue of the handle of the blades. But those final highlights on that red in particular it's really got me excited. It looks great.
Yeah, like huge fan of alternate color schemes, and this one is no exception. Like it just stands out. I think if I had to pick between the red and the yellow, my favorite's the red, just because it looks super striking. It almost kind of reminds me of red cap goblins. And it kind of fits almost the same sort of theme, like weird creatures that live in the forest that will kill you without letting you know that they're there. And I'm a huge fan. Like, there's a lot of really hard colors here, mostly the yellows. Like, anyone who's worked with yellow will tell you it's kind of a pain in the ass to work with. Just to see it well executed, you can see the folds on the cloth, you can see it around the armbands. Really, really nicely done. And I think it also contrasts really nicely with the base. Like, the base is tight together, but that dark brown, a lot of people kind of fail on getting their models to stand out nicely from their basing or to work with their base on like what the actual color of their base is. So this helps blend together around their feet, but you see them stand out nice and vibrantly, but it's tied back again by the actual foliage that they use. So yeah, and then also the blue on the daggers helps kind of just give you a little bit of pop, like it kind of just draws your eye into something a bit different, so it doesn't all blend together, so it stands out a bit more. Maybe it's to allude to what's coming in winter, but yeah, overall this would be a stunning army to see, and I can't wait to see more of it.
The more I look as he's talking there, Scott, is those highlights. It's really, really well technically executed. So although we've sort of picked up, the scheme and the planning for that, I'm becoming more and more impressed the more I look at the way, even with the red there, you've got some sort of purple glazes. I imagine that he would have done for the low lights, sort of that mild variation for that color, and then on the vest there, going up to that really bright highlight. I think, technically executed, very well done.
Well done, David. All right, let's jump into our next one. Okay, we've got Jeremy. Jeremy, for those that don't know, this is Jeremy from the Green Dragon. You've probably seen these models been posted around already. And yeah, first time on the Dicebearers painting event as well. So he's coming in with Haleth and Aldor. I think it's Aldor was his name. Look, we don't need to talk too much about the accomplishments that Jeremy has had with his painting, and it's really showing here. It's got the signature Jeremy strong contrast style. And look, the red's popping, the green's popping with really light and sharp sort of reflective highlights on the cloth there as well. But it doesn't really. It's got the strong reflective highlights and everything like that. But you can still see that they're different textures and stuff like that. And the amount of shading that we can see on the faces gives it so much definition. Like and yeah, this is just, it screams Jeremy and Jeremy Hunter style. I had the privilege of actually playing with some of Jeremy's models a long time ago, and yeah, it looks even better in real life. And yeah, what do you think, guys? Scott?
Yeah, awesome. Like, they're not models that you see often, so it is a treat to see them painted. I really like the face, or both of the faces. They're both kind of dark and a bit like grim. Like, it captures that gritty grimness, that the Defenders of Helm's Deep had. So I'm a huge fan of just that, like, super shadow, I suppose, is the phrase I'm looking for here. Like, it's just really, really, really uh, dark, like a 5 o'clock shadow sort of thing. The red on the armor as well, I keep getting drawn to it. It almost looks like it's like red Loricum segmentata, like the Roman legionary style, like plate mail there. So that's super cool. Can't really tell if it's meant to be metallic or not. I don't know if it's the light, but it looks like it is, which is cool. Like, at least on the how what's the son's name? I can't even remember now. Haleth, yeah, son of Hammer. But yeah, no, well executed, nice and clean. I really, really, really dig the faces. I think I just keep looking at them. It's like, oh, sick. Like, I keep going back. So yeah, and it's a real privilege to see these models again as well. So thank you.
Vaughn?
I just love how, with the 4 or 5 entries that we've looked at already, they all have different sort of painting styles, and they all look equally fantastic. And I think this is a really good example of everyone kind of builds and develops their own painting style. So this is certainly really unique. One which I haven't tried, but I imagine would be extraordinarily difficult to do well. I think that you could easily get into the an error of having too dark or having too stark a transition and it looking poor. But this is executed really, really well, and I just love how, as I've just said, that everyone's got a different painting style and everyone evolves a different way, and they all look equally fantastic. So I hadn't actually recognized Jeremy in his other work. I just sort of looked at these and go, oh, this looks somewhat familiar, or this looks so striking. But now that you've mentioned that, I'm like, oh yeah, he's got so much fantastic stuff. So yeah, it's a real pleasure to comment on. So I mean, I think you guys have nailed all the same things that I really like: the contrast, the bright colors, the complementary colors and theme that he's gone through here. So yeah, I just think that, all of these are different and executed in different ways, but equally all fantastic. And that's so great how diverse our hobby is and what we can achieve with it. So that's great.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. And we're going to jump into returning entrant. Got Geordie. So for those who don't know, he's been working on this Eastling force, and we're finally getting to see some of the bigger pieces in that army, and he's come in with a quote unquote Easterling chariot and a cheeky pikeman at the back there. Firstly, we got to talk about that conversion work. Very cool. He's actually used the metal cataphracts for the horses, so I can see there, and he's also got some cheeky Eastling shields on the actual chariot itself. He's done really good work with the freehand on the banner and that really striking color scheme that we've kind of come to know Geordie for. Again, this army is really coming together, and last week he had some Corsairs. The week before he had Amder and more Eastlings. Like I can't wait to see this in an event. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, what a privilege. I mean, I think we saw a taste of this army at Masters a couple of years ago, right? I think it's the same, like the same one for all this time. Yeah, it's super striking. I'm a huge fan of just really vibrant armies, and this one's no exception. This will come down on the table opposite to you, and you'll be like, wow. You'll walk into an event and you'll see all the armies on display, and you'll see this one from across the room. Just that non-metallic gold is just excellent. It's just nice and vibrant. Like it looks burnished, And then also I think I just want to talk about the conversion. Cool, so cool. Eastling king on chariot, sick. Like it just it gets my like old man historical spur going. Like I'm just like looking at this like, oh yeah, look at this. Like this is sick, and it is. So Yeah, like from a painting point of view, I talked about it last time, and it's just well executed. It just looks great. You can tell that your experience is really starting to show through here. Like your non-metallics are getting better and tighter and just cleaner. Like they're looking more and more refined as you obviously put more effort into it, and it's just phenomenal. Like what a treat.
Yeah, really, really well thought out. Excellent color scheme. These sort of pastely muted purples and yellow gold. Again, going back to my point about different styles, the way these horses are painted, brilliant, fantastic. So exciting to see. The layering on these horses is somewhat different to the one that we saw of Shadowfax, and I'm sure of some of the more horses that we're yet to see. I was actually looking at this for a good few minutes trying to work out, is this actually NMM? And I think that's when you really nailed that technique, is when, at first or even second or third glance, you're not sure whether it's painted with true metallics or not. So I think that's a testament to the quality of the technique executed. And then the base, that's a really cool base. It's something different. It's something that works fantastically well. As my cat meows in the background, that works fantastically well with the same color scheme, but is something different. And you're going to gravitate to an army like that because it's different and it works really well and it's striking and it's really unique. So yeah, this is great again. Really well done.
Right, and yeah, your cat's obviously really loving it as well. So.
She's going mental for it. This is my life. My cat just meows like all hours of the day. It's 2 a.m. is no exception. Any different from 9 o'clock. So yeah.
Oh, good. No worries.
She's extra excited because Geordie's her favorite. That's her favorite for this week. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Geordie. Thank you again, and looking forward to see more of this army. What will he bring next? I'm gonna say maybe a Fell Beast next time. Who knows? We'll find out in the December one. All right, let's jump into the next one. We've got Josh coming in with Sharkey. So first off, a model that you don't really see painted often or used often, because Sharky's Rogues is one of those rare sites in any event, usually reserved for narrative play, but it's one of my personal favorite models in the range. It sits up there with a lot of the other sort of cloaked older sculpt cloaked character models. It's got so much character, and he's chosen well to utilize this one here. Look, the browns, you can clearly tell, is kind of this tattered, weathered, textured cloak, and he's put a lot of work in that texturing there. You guys mentioned about the white. This one is no slouch either. It's got lots of smooth and layered whites. The beard is looking really great as well. Yeah, overall, really good. What do you think, Vaughn?
It's really challenging, I believe, to make a model that has on the surface quite drab colors really interesting. And I think this model nails that really nicely. You mentioned the whites. I was zooming in on the cloak. You've got this, it almost builds this narrative on how weathered that cloak is. You can see variations in the highlights throughout, but even sort of up around the shoulders as well. It almost looks like there's a bit of webbed hair through it there. So it's kind of telling its own story of its journey that it's had. So look, really, again, different. We've seen really bright, vibrant colors. This one's got some more darker tones, but again, is just really fantastically executed and is interesting to look at. The more I look at it, just like all the others, the more I'm sort of seeing and enjoying from it. So for something with just 3 or 4 different colors through it, which are quite similar browns and creams and things, I think it takes a lot of skill to be able to pull that off and make it as interesting as it is here. So it's great.
Yeah, it's often it's weird when you see like a book color scheme, right? Almost, because it's kind of like, well, you it's kind of what you expect, but then you see one, you're like, oh, like, and one that's well executed, you're like, oh, it's actually pretty sick, and it is like, you're right. You don't see Sharky. I don't think I've ever seen a painted Sharky outside like artwork, right? Like I've just never seen it, and this one is. almost would have mistaken it for one out of out of a book somewhere, where I'm like, oh, this is the model picture. Like, oh, cool, that's what he looks like. Yeah, sick. Like the robe itself, like the brown robe, excellent. Like the travel cloak, like it's got that dry look at the bottom. It's got the kind of dampened in up around the top and where it gets dark around his shoulders. Like again with the cream on the inside, just nice and clean. Like, you know, the face work there, you can see the nose as well picked out, so it actually kind of stands out. Like you can actually see that there's a nose there, and then there's a cheek, so you get the idea of the full face. Again, as around the rest, like on the cheeks and the beard, it manages to capture that there is a fugitive looking dude under that hood. And yeah, just like as it's just well executed, you know, as you guys said, like you can't, you can't kind of pick any faults with it. There's nothing wrong with it because it's just so well done. Like even around the dagger on his waist, like there's the black lining around it just to kind of help it separate from the cloth there, so it pops out. You can see the pin wash along the top there, and just with the nice strong, good choice of a brassy bronze, it just helps pop it out. Like your eyes immediately drawn to the dagger on his waist. Like, oh, it's right there under his cloak. So yeah, no, great job, well executed. I do like the basing materials as well, like the flowers. Definitely helps bring it all together. One thing that I normally don't like is actually the rim choice, like the non-black rims, but in this case actually works really well, and I really like it. I think it helps to just kind of add a bit of like a scenery, like a bit of like diorama, like a bit of life to your model, which is really well done. So yeah, no, 10 out of 10.
Right. Thank you, Josh. All right, let's jump into our next one. We've got a returning entrant. We've got Lawrence again. So this time he's opted to not go for a dwarf this time, and he's come in with an Ent, specifically the Broadbeam. Broadbeam, yeah, with
Quickie, isn't it? Quick beam?
Quick Beam. Yes, you're correct. Not Broadbeam.
Yeah.
He's quick, not broad.
Yeah,
look,
boy.
yeah, look. Well, let's start with yourself, Vaughn. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I really like this bark. This is incredible. I always feel intimidated when I got to go out and try and paint a lot of bark or like rock or that, you know, earthy texture. I just think, you know, people can really easily fall into the trap of let's go really dark and let's dry brush it with something mid-tone and then a light tone, and you kind of get this really stark sort of variation. I think for this one, it's done exceptionally well because yes, you have the dark recesses, but your transition through to the light is actually really smooth and really well executed. I love also the expression that that is caught in Quickbeam's face, and I think done really well with the execution of the painting of the eyes. So for me, the two major standout is the bark itself and the quality of transition, and it just looks like wood. It looks like that kind of you know, those naked gum trees that we've all sort of seen driving through bushland. It just strikes that really nicely, and then the expression of the Ent itself. So they're for me the real highlights of this model.
Yeah, funnily enough, actually, what really stood out to me was the leaves, like the ivy. I saw it. I'm like, oh, it actually looks like ivy. You know, you'd expect to see it at a pub on the wall somewhere. Like, it's that dark green, and it kind of got the glossiness that you'd expect to see on those sorts of leaves. But you are right about the wood. Like, it definitely looks like that. I don't know what it's like, the vines. You know, like that kind of like dried, like stretched out timber, which is what he's made out of, right? So it looks really very much so like it. I also like the small additions of moss in patches around, you know, just to kind of add a bit more, breaks the model up. Like, you kind of don't realize it until you're looking at it, like, oh, it actually breaks them up a bit from being just this big dude of brown. You know, there's small patches of moss there to kind of give it a bit more color and help break it up. And the same with the new growth along the top there, like with all the green leaves, and you alternate a little bit with the brown as well. Just helps to bring a bit of life to the model. And I think also, yeah, as you said, the eyes look great. Like, they're these nice big brown eyes. You know, you can kind of you can tell he's just looking right at you, which is great. So yeah, really nice.
Yeah, you guys already said it. It's looking realistic, with the woodwork and the nice contrast with the green ivy and green leaves, and the different sort of shades of the leaves as well. You've also got a couple of orangey brown ones towards the tips there. well executed as always, Lawrence, and yeah, thank you for your submission. So let's
One last thing I really like
go.
is the setting. Is the
Yeah.
setting of where this is taken a photo of? Like it's probably a fiddle leaf or something like that, but he's like role playing as an ant, and he's got the background to boot. So that's great.
Yeah, definitely. And something that may have been missed in the live stream, but you will be able to see it in our when you guys go to vote. Some of those leaves are actually it's got the brown, but it's also got like that brown purple, like the almost sort of wet, like dampened but almost dead leaves as well. So there's a lot of dead leaves, sorry, and yeah, very much super realistic and varied as well. So very cool. All right, let's jump into our next one. We've got Mark. Mark coming in with Rohan Warrior. Now, being the resident, one of the many residents, but resident Rohan aficionado, Vaughn, why don't you start us off with this humble Rohan Warrior?
Yeah, this is great. Subtle but really effective conversion here. I think this model he holds a sword, doesn't he? I'm
Correct.
pretty
Yeah.
confident he's not holding an axe in the real models. So uh, this is a subtle but I think it really changes the whole aesthetic of the model quite nicely. The other addition with really nice detailing is sort of the straps of the throwing spear on his back. Just sort of ties it into the model rather than just sort of having a throwing spear, there on his back. But for me, the highlight is the NMM of the steel of both the spear tip and the axe. For someone who's painted many of those spear tips, I think I've got a lot to learn out of this one. This looks fantastic. He's got that real dark kind of next to black on the underside, and then that really nice bright, almost white on the top, and that just really makes it. You can almost sort of visualize that kind of spear tip, like kind of during the dark, like a defender of Helm's Deep kind of aesthetic, but the axe head as well. I think that's really just the thought process of where you're going to place those highlights. I think is really well captured, and I think just from anyone looking to learn how to do some N&M, of which I'm in that camp of, I've got a lot to learn on how to do it. I think I've learned a lot from Mark here with the placement of the highlights on those two aspects.
Yeah, well done, Mark. Scott?
Yeah, stunning model. Stunning. I keep actually getting stuck on the belt. I'm like, wow, belt. Because it's got that distressed, worn leather look. Like, it's weird the things that you tend to focus on, right? Like the belt and both the helmet. It just looks like that well aged but still cared for leather. It's like this belt's been in my family for 30 years, and it's still like, yep, holds my pants up, does really well. Like I just keep looking. I'm like, oh, what story does that belt tell? Also with the tunic, I don't know. It's weird. There's like this luminescence to it. Like it just captures light really nicely, and it looks um, almost too real. Like it kind of it's just got that just the perfect gradiating for it. So it just so captures the light at the scale that is appropriate for it, and it just looks super smooth as well, which is excellent. Smoothness, like kiss. But yeah, also the metals as well. I'm a huge fan of the axe head. I think that's super sick. Like it just looks well polished and well burnished. The spear as well, like it stands out really nicely. But I look at the axe, I'm like, yeah, that already like to me tells the story on the model. Yeah, the eyes and the face as well, well executed as always. Like you can't really fault it. Like it's nice and clean. The eyes, they're nice and straight. No stroke victims here, no sir. So yeah, no, just stunning.
To paint in helmeted models. This in the face of helmeted models is so difficult to do. Mark's nailed it.
Yeah. You guys have definitely talked about a lot of the technical aspects that Mark's executed extremely well. I'm just really enjoying the color scheme and the approach. So he's gone for this really like realistic, photorealistic approach here. And the color scheme and the subtlety and the desaturated approach of a lot of the cloth, the greens, the tunics, it just looks super realistic to me. I could totally see this guy, he's his village is getting raided, and he's picked up his axe and throwing spear, and he's going to go do battle with some raiders, maybe take out some Dunlendings or something like that. And yeah, you can tell definitely it sells that sort of imagery for me. So yeah, really great job there, Mark. Thank you very much. All right, let's jump into a returning entrant. We've got Rupert with the drummer troll.
Previous winner, right? He was a winner of one of the months before.
Yeah, so he's the winner of the first month's painting event, and yeah, he's coming back strong with the drummer troll here. So Vaughn, why don't you start us off?
Me? Yeah, I can start us off. I love texture throughout all of the features of this model. So again, different techniques. It's really exciting. But Rupert here has got some really interesting textures, most specifically for me on the leather of the drum, as well as throughout the creature's muscles. You can sort of see this sort of speckled, kind of worn, aged leather hide of the creature, of the troll, and then that contrasts nicely with this really nicely layered and sort of well highlighted and popping scales on his back. So already you can tell they're completely different sort of textures. The leathery hide and the shiny scales, and then the well oiled and the well sort of used drum. The leather hide on that, and you can see just in the middle of there where the creature's been beating at it, and then the drumsticks themselves as well. All these, I guess, are relatively, in some ways, similar sort of textures, but look so uniquely different from the speckling techniques and various other techniques that Rupert's employed here. So for me, that's the big standout for this model. Again, a relatively low contrast type color scheme here, but everything is so clearly independent of one another because he's just nailed those textures. And the more I'm looking at it, the textures of the nails, the texture of the straps around the troll's chest. So the texture differences for me is the huge standout for this model.
Yeah, what is there to talk about now? You've talked about everything cool, right?
Bro.
Yeah, like, oh, come on, man. I mean, yeah, look, I dig the nails. The nails are probably my favorite, and also the fingers on the other hand. They just look super, like, I don't know if it's like dried skin, like, bro, use some Nivea, like just moisturize a little. But yeah, just throughout the model, the texture. One area I really like is actually the top of the drums. Just there, like you can just see he's obviously been pounding away for ages because it's got that distressed leather, like the hide there is just a bit worn, like it's kind of a bit lighter, and around the rim as well. So it kind of just helps look like it's like, yeah, these drums have been out in the sun for, God knows how long. Huge fan of the nipple tattoo. Yeah, sick. Like, I don't know if trolls know what nipples are, but cool. Very good placement otherwise. Overall, actually, one of the things I want to look at is the base. Yeah, I really like the inclusion of some of the additional tufts there, particularly the white one at the front. I don't recall that on the Rescue or Far Harad or Harad, so it's just a nice bit of splash of something different on your base there, and it definitely helps pop out a bit more, helps contrast the model and helps set the palette. It just, because by popping it kind of makes the rest of it not blend in so much to the base color, which is, I think, really well executed, or a small tidbit there. Overall, yeah, no, well executed, like as you come to expect from Rupert. I do like the tattoo work as well, because you can tell that it's been done. Can't tell if it's actually tattoos or scarification, but either way, it's well executed in that you can see that there's the two-step approach and a tidy up around it as well to help make it pop out, which just looks great. So yeah, well done, Rupert.
Yeah, he's one thing you guys haven't mentioned is that he's actually green stuffed a lot of that beard. Because I do believe normally the actual beard is just two little like bits sticking out from the side, and he's actually kind of created a big beard for the actual troll itself. So totally a rocker here with his drummer troll. And yeah, you guys already talked about all the texture work and all that stuff. As expected from Rupert, it's really nice. I like how he's actually gone for the subtle tricolor. He's got the green, like slightly green scales, the bluish gray skin, and then the red bits of cloth there. but if you don't really see it, you don't particularly notice it. It's actually really subtle, so everything ties in super nicely. A lot of subtle sort of yellows as well in the leather work. Yeah, overall, really loving it. Classic black rim base as well. Love big tick from me personally. Yeah, great work, Rupert. Thank you very much for your submission. Okay, let's jump into another former winner as well. Got Will coming in yet again with another diorama. This time he's gone for the specific scene where you've got Sam and Frodo hiding in orc armor, and you've got the the enforcer taskmaster orcs, whipping them away to war. Let's start with you, Scott. What do you think?
Yeah, it very much like captures the scene out of the movie, right? Like already, kind of you know what it is and where it is and what's going on. Like just immediately, even getting the right poses, and the right models. Like the Taskmaster looks like he does in the movie. Obviously, the Sam and Frodo models are there as well, but yeah, just like it captures the imagery. It's well done. I really wish I had more photos. I saw some of it from Armies on Parade this year. I think it was Armies on Parade that it was in, and it won in our area. But yeah, awesome, because it just captures it. And I know you guys can't probably tell, but I see Jay Lenork is hiding in there as well. If you can figure out which one he is, or you have a Spear of Moran and Orcs, there's a Jay Lenork. He looks like Jay Leno. Yeah, no, super cool. I rate it. I like it. I like all the eyes, all the freehand on the shields as well. Like, just yeah, it just kind of pulls it all together, right? Like it just captures that slice in the movie really well.
Yeah, very cool. Vaughn?
Again, I think this highlights what I was saying before about how everyone has a different technique or approach to the hobby, and Will here is certainly finding that approach of these really iconic and really well executed dioramas. So the other month, I think it was the Helm's Deep with Legolas, and then now we have another really iconic scene from the trilogy movies. I really like how he's got a splash of color with the lava sort of throughout the rock as well, just to sort of break up and what could be quite a drab scene. That really is nicely contrasting of the colors. But as you sort of said, Scott, you've got really well posed and really thought out placement and selection of orcs as they're marching through to war. Yeah, I mean, it's why we love Lord of the Rings, right? Like this is, bringing scenes or building scenes that we're so familiar and enjoy from the movies, and just building it. This must have been such a joy to build, Will. So truly is a joy to view as well. So well done.
Yeah, very, very, very cool. And I can't wait for next month. What other scene he's got planned?
He just keeps getting better and better. How does he keep topping it?
Yeah, what's he gonna do next? So yeah, I can't wait. Will. Thank you very much. All right, next one. We've got a first time entrant actually. Got Josh T. So a little bit of context, Josh T is actually quite new to the hobby himself, and we had the privilege of meeting him a couple of weeks ago for a couple of games as well. So had the privilege to see a lot of his hobby work, and he's really pumping out a lot of hobby. And this month he's coming in with the Knight of Minas Tirith here, and yeah, let's start with you, Vaughn.
It's great that now we have some true metallic metal. Everything's been non-metallic metal, so it's good to balance that out now here with the true metallic metal. I can't wait to see an army like this of Minas Tirith charging toward the hordes of orcs that I'm trying to get myself through. So I think as a collective, these guys are going to look great. I love the attention to detail here on the banner, and even the spear tip as well. You can sort of see the nice definition throughout the different features. You can sort of see how sharp that spearhead would be.
Mm-hmm. And Scott?
Yeah, no, it's like I was just thinking about how much Josh has painted in lockdown. I'm like, I compare it to how much I've done, and it's completely shameful. I think I've painted one model, since like the start of the last lockdown, and he's done what two full armies, coming into his third now, which is just out of control. Out of control. On the model itself, it's a nice, good, just straight out of the movie kind of paint job. But you just see it, and you're like, yeah, that is something that I know. Like you could just see it riding across the Pelennor immediately. This one night, so nice and clean. It's just simply and well executed. Like it just you see it and you're like, I know exactly what that is. So yeah, no, awesome. And I'm just so thinking about how much you've actually painted, because I've seen it all. I'm like, dude, this is so much. So yeah, I look forward to seeing your Minas Tirith all done.
I love the narrative that pole arm, or the shaft of the banner is bringing. It kind of looks like you can almost see like the chunks and and deflections that it's made of various crude orc sort of weapons as it's taken small chunks of wood away from it. I really like how you just sort of see these plain all monotone sort of spear shafts and things, whereas this changes the way I might approach sort of spear shafts in the future, because it looks like he's sort of deflected away a few potentially fatal blows. So that's a really cool little feature of this model here.
Yeah, you're totally right. The subtle like chunking effect. I didn't really at first see it that way, but now that you've pointed it out, it totally works. In that regard. Yeah, very cool. Thank you very much, Josh. Looking forward to seeing more of this Gondor Force that you.
Yeah, can't wait to see more. Looks great.
All right, let's jump into another returning entrant, Thomas B. You guys would be familiar with his sort of very bloody and gory sort of approach, and this is no different this month. This time he's coming in with the Rohan Command. He's on all 4 models here. I have to say, this is definitely one of my favorites coming from Thomas B so far. It's got that super stark contrast with the super blacks in the shadow. He's got the really strong, but still really rich colored highlights as well. The greens, vibrant. The reds are vibrant. The armor is really cool. Like you can see that each little bit of that scale mail is like got a little bit of different color tone to it. And yeah, it's got that just finished battling some orcs or battling some raiders, that sort of feel. It's got very dirty but creamy whites in some of the other models there. Yeah, very cool. Very, very, very cinematic, as usual from Thomas, and yeah, really loving it. Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, one of the things that first pops out to me is kind of the vibrancy, and like it's just super saturated. Like it just kind of. And coming back to what you've commented on a couple of times is actually the painting style that everybody seems to have on all the different colors. Like it just kind of, that vibrancy just kind of shines through here, and it looks that super saturation, and it's toned down really nice with all the blood and the dirt that you normally don't see on these super saturated paint schemes. Like normally they just kind of end up being one or the other. So yeah, no, it's really well executed. It's actually super clean as well, which is weird when I've just been talking about blood and dirt. But you look at like all the robe work and all the cloth work, and it's just really nicely blended together. Like it's very clean. There's no like obvious edge transitions or any edge highlights there. You can like they're there, but they're all blended back, so they're nice and smooth. Like it kind of just gives you that almost feels like a Renaissance painting or like a 18th century painting. So yeah, and my favorite one out of the lot, if I had to pick one, is probably the Hornblower. I'm just like, yeah, cool, because he's got a little horn, like awesome, and it's like a nice red enamel horn as well, so it looks really great. Ties in with the banner. Overall, great execution. I love the super saturation. It looks really good.
Yeah, you guys have picked up on all the points that I really enjoy. Big standouts for me in particular, on top of what you've already mentioned. I love the cream of the Hornblower's trousers, or the sort of skirt that he has there. To go from that really, really high highlight right down to where all that mud and splutter and gore is, toward the bottom of it, I think really centers these models in a setting, and that's something that is really challenging to do and often not done at all. You've got this really grimy sort of muddy sort of environment that these men are fighting through, and you can see that really nice and clearly. just I think that cream is really, really well done. The other features that I think are highlights on top of what you guys have already mentioned is the burgundy in the banner itself. That looks great. I'm a huge huge fan of red tones, but I love the dark sort of almost purpley burgundy kind of low lights up to that kind of, almost semi orangey highlights. That looks fantastic. But you both have mentioned it, but 100% the highlight for me on this is the subtle variations and the tonal differentiation within the scale mail itself. I think that looks fantastic. I mean, even on the hunters, what's he called? The huntsman. Who's
Huntsman.
the archer guy? Who? Sorry,
King's Huntsman, right?
King's Huntsman. Yeah. So on the King's Huntsman in particular, it could really easily get into I guess, which I often do, is to sort of have a monotone kind of scale mail. But no, I think Thomas is really nailed the painting this true metallic metal scale mail. This looks really good.
Yeah, one thing I kind of skipped over there actually is the base work. Awesome. It does capture that like a vignette almost, like a wet moment in like the rain and the mud and the slosh and the blood, and you're like, and then you look at the base and they're all wet, like they don't even look muddy. It looks worse than mud. It kind of looks like someone fell over and got trampled into the mud and died. Like that's how wet it looks and grim and nasty. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, totally vibing with that idea. Yeah, as you mentioned, it's very much a vignette of this could totally be during or right after a battle of at the Fords of Isen. So definitely got that grim cinematic feel. Very cool. Thank you very much, Thomas. All right, let's jump into yet another former entrant as well. This one, this guy here he's come runner-up twice, I believe. And we've got Jared coming in strong with some Madril Damrod action. Now, I'm going to start off here. If there was a title or one word to kind of describe the entry here is texture. Texture. We now had an echo. It's just like so much texture going on. You've got the stubble texture. You've got the leather. You've got the cloth as well. It's got this sort of rugged look. It's still got that signature Jared clean sort of a painting style as well. Blowing it out of the park yet again, Jared. Thank you very much. Yeah, what do you think, Scott?
Yeah, obviously texture is the word, and you just made me reflect a little bit on the changes in painting styles we've seen over the last maybe 10 years. Maybe 10 years ago, painting with texture wasn't really something that we saw a lot of. Like you think even about like the highest tier of painters in the world, like Golden Demon painters and those sorts of things, Crystal Brush. We didn't really see a huge amount of texture. It was kind of more like a smooth style, like hyper transitions and lots of different gradients. And over the years, we've kind of seen texture start to appear. First it was weathering and then stippling, and it's kind of started to move out here. And now we're just going like, hey, bro, like you like some distressed leather? Boy, do I have some distressed leather for you. So, you look here and it's just, you can see the weaving, you can see the threads, you can see the distressed leather. Everything is obviously textured. I'm going to try and deviate a little bit here. Some of the things that I really can appreciate is I can never mix up which one is which, but I think it's Damrod, the younger of the two gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Around the actual armor on his I don't know what you want to call it, like the loincloth section, like just to pick out all the diamonds there. Very tedious, very well done. It helps separate them out.
Before you go, that's actually free-handed.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, even better. I thought it was just painted on the model. So there you go. Like, what? So, already just like huge. So that there, right there, the diamonds, excellent, because I thought they were part of the model. And yeah, there's lots of distressed leather and appearances here, but that already, like I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's a pain in the ass to do, and it looks great. And to know that it's freehand, even better. I think we'll all, as we always do, we'll just touch on faces. Faces are often very tricky to pull off properly, and you can definitely capture that one of them's an old man and the other one's got his eyebrows, as you would imagine, raised, and to furrow the brow sometimes can be really hard. So it's captured there nicely at a distance. You'll be able to pick it up and still see that it's nice and clean. So yeah, great job.
On.
Yeah, huge fan of Jared's work. I've had the pleasure of seeing a few of his armies in person and things. So yeah, this looks really great. This is no exception. Yeah, you boys have touched on everything really of my favorite here. Obviously the texture. I was going to comment on both of the faces, which are really well executed. And then even the subtle sort of inclusion of the models into the environment with some of the muddy effects on the lower aspects of their cloaks. So I think from all of the aspects and technical components that a lot of the other entrants have nailed really nicely. I think Jared sort of accumulated all of those and done it in his works here. So yeah, I echo all the comments that you guys have made too.
Thank you very much, Jared. Looking forward to your next submission as well. So yeah, thank you. All right, let's jump into some Dicebearers' own entries. This month I've managed to put one. You, Scott, finally you've finally got an entry here. Let's have a look. So we've got Draw. This is a heavily converted model as well. Look, I'm gonna let you talk a bit about this one, Scott, and Vaughn and I can jump in to give you a bit of our peace of mind.
Look, it's a dwarf. It's the only one in the pack. It's already the best. Like instant dwarf number one. Like, sorry guys, just too bad. Too bad. So sad. Yeah. Look, it's not been a good hobby season for me. I did one model, and I think this is the one model like
You're doing better than me, mate.
since March. I don't even know. Like, I don't know. And I had to do this because it was only because of Wrath. I was just like, I need one model to get my army done. Okay, fine. So this took me a week, but yeah, it's done now, and I'm happy with it. It's the Chariot Rider, out of the Iron Hills box. If anyone's wondering, so in the Iron Hills Chariot box, you get a captain for the driver, or you get a non-captain. This is the non-captain. So just stuck a bow in his hand and then put a little miner's backpack. This is one of the old fantasy miners backpacks, I believe. It might be an Imperial Guard one, but I'm pretty sure it's a miner. With a little bum roll. You can't really see it there. Probably the only thing I really care about that is not really there in the photo is the eyes. I'm pretty sure they're not stroke eyes, but you can't tell, so we'll just give that one a miss there. I did stuff around with some things that I don't normally try, particularly on the leather. Just a bit of trying to get a bit of stippling and distressness around the pouches on the back there, and also on the shovel, just to kind of play around a little bit. I was trying to go for a more beaten shovel than a nice and spick and spanny one, because who has a clean shovel, right? No one really cares. It's a shovel. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just kind of one model, 1 month. Like, well done. Yeah, go me, dwarves.
Yeah, Vaughn.
I mean, this is just a great example of the fantastic hobby that Scott brings. I mean, he's obviously a very skilled and talented converter and also painter. The non-metallic metal throughout this model, that's so hard to pull off well, and he's got it, not only at a really high quality, but also a very repeatable quality that he's had consistent throughout his entire army. So that's a huge sort of compliment to him. I mean, I'm a huge fan of good bases. It's a relatively easy thing to do, but I think he's done so well here with a variation and picking of the different color tones and nice sort of contrast, but also fits in very nicely with the color tone that he has here for his models. I mean, yeah, everything's very technically perform very well. All the elements work really well together. So yeah, I mean, I say to him every time, I think it's such a pleasure to be able to play against models that he creates and puts on the table, and this is no different. So this looks stunning when on the table with all these other models. Well done. There's so much detail in here. There's so much time and effort put into it, and it just keeps getting better and better. So this is great, Scott. Well done, mate.
Thanks. While I appreciate your really kind words, I do want everybody to know every time he sees my dwarves, like, oh, what did you bring? Oh, dumb dwarves.
I do. I was trying not to bring up how much I hated dwarves, but I mean that just that's how much I like your painting, because it makes the dumb dwarves somewhat bearable.
Yeah. Look. For context, this is Draw, which is part of a larger Iron Hills army that, I wouldn't say army. It's more like a collection Scott's kind of built up over the years, and it's a privilege to kind of see this collection take shape. And it's also a variation of what he normally runs. He's got you've got like the really well done Dane and everything, and I'm just glad that you finally got the Mirren and Dra combo sorted out, and yeah, because you did a really good job with the conversion, and yeah, it's really cool to see you brought it out, painted it, and brought it to the event as well. So really cool. The I know you really like the backpack. I personally really like it as well. It's very reminiscent of all the other sort of traveling dwarves that we have in the range. You know, Gimli with his little backpack when it's not covered by the elven cloak. So it kind of it evokes that sort of adventuring vibe that Mirren and Dra kind of gives. And you know, you've gone for that subtle conversion with the bow there. You've done really well with separating the metal work from the actual bow material as well. It's different gray to the sort of the midtone, the blue, sort of blue slash black NMM metal that you've got going there. So yeah, really cool. I'm just glad to see it done and done well as usual from Scott. So thank you very much for coming in hot with with a
dwarf
draw.
number 1.
Yeah, draw. Draw's okay. All right, so let's get into another Dicebearers entry. We've got Alexa. He's coming this month with Halberad with banner. Specifically, it's the made to order or super rare version with the banner, the Gondor banner instead of the. Well, it's actually a United Arnor and Gondor banner instead of the banner of the Arwen Evenstar banner, and he's got the horn as well. Very cool model. I remember for the longest time this is one of the most expensive and out of print models to get, but and it's I personally have a lot of sort of fear of kind of taking that model out of its box and doing a good job, but Alexa here has knocked it out of the park. He's gone for this is specifically a Grey Company Halberad, and he's gone for this sort of neutral grey and white scheme with really strong contrasts on the cloaks, and he's also hasn't gone too turbo with the gold work on the banner pole, like the little banner pole top thing. Yeah, really subtle, which is, I would say, a little bit different from what Alexa normally does, because he does go for really strong contrasting colors with his other color scheme. So it's very interesting to see he's kind of stepped outside his normal sort of painting spectrum there. And yeah, really good job there, Alexa. I just like that he's kind of gone for something really different. I don't actually see any of the classic Alexa blues that we usually see. So really well done there. Vaughn, what do you reckon?
I'm really enjoying seeing Alexa's style and I guess execution of various techniques evolve over the time that I've seen his work and known him. He's one of those hobbyists that just keeps producing more and more models. You're like, how do you do this? But he's such an efficient hobbyist, and my cat's shouting at me again. She also really likes it apparently. But he's such an efficient but also very effective hobbyist. And I'm really enjoying, I guess the improvements and the every new model is an up jump with what he's done. This is no different here. I mean, you're right. It's different to, I guess, the colors and the way Alexa has painted other things, but it's still very Alexa. Like it's very strong contrast, super smooth transitions, because he's painting most of this, I imagine, with wet blending, as I know him. So I'm just, every time I look at something that Alexa's done, it just gets better and better. So this isn't no exception. This is a great model.
Yeah, like you look at it and you're like, oh, cool, because it's so hard to, again, like, whites and greys are hard colors to pull off. And to get separation. And this is probably, in my opinion, a little harder than the Gandalf. Like the Gandalf, there was the luxury of working with different tones of white, like the beige, the woody white, and then the cold white. So you had like warm, neutral, and cold. Here, Alexa's kind of only worked with the cold palette, and obviously there's warm splashes through there from like the base and the hands and the hair, and the wood and the banner. But if we focus on actual Halbrad himself with the cloak and the tunic, um, they're both, you could both define them as white or grey, but to manage to capture that same tone, like same but different, is really hard, like really hard. Just to get it just so is hard to make it look like it's similar, but it's not the same, but it's close. Yeah, no, excellent job, because that can be super tough. Huge fan of actually the tunic. I keep looking at it, I'm like, oh, cool. And same with the cloak, actually. Like, they're probably my two favorite parts. I just look at them, I'm like, oh, cool. And same with the boots, actually. It just all kind of looks super schmick, is probably the only real way I could think of it. Like, it just looks good. So yeah, as always, great job.
Yeah, and this the very narrow sort of color palette that he's used is actually really making the face and the banner pole stand out, and yeah, which is one of the strongest. Like these two elements of the model is sort of the standout components of that, and yeah, Alexa's done a really good job, kind of calling out to those elements there. Really well done. Thank you, Alexa. All right, and lucky last, it's got we've got myself. Right, so here we go. Let's have a look. What did I do this month? I've got a cave troll, and a dweller in the dark. So just I'll kind of talk a little bit about my process, and you guys can comment afterwards. The dweller in the dark, very fiddly model. I personally despise Finecast, and it was actually really challenging. Getting this model all the way from start to finish. Went for a little bit of an alternate color scheme, and luckily, I have guys in our social circle to kind of like do a hot kind of phone a friend essentially when it comes to color schemes and stuff like that. So you guys had a lot of input in kind of putting this scheme together, and yeah, and with the cave troll, I actually spent a lot of time on the dweller, but for the cave troll, I actually didn't spend that too much time on it. I kind of did it the night before. I needed it to be done for the Wrath and Ruin, and I actually like that one a lot more comparatively to the Dweller in the Dark. But other than that, yeah. So I'm happy I got it done, and yeah. What do you guys think?
We're happy too, Eric. It makes me very happy when I see you produce some models, and these are fantastic. I think that you're a very well accomplished and very knowledgeable hobbyist, to which I'm often grabbing inspiration and ideas and techniques and running ideas past you. You mentioned it just now, sort of the brains trust that we have, and that's another huge benefit. And what we all love about this hobby is that we can, hey guys, I've got this idea. What do you guys think? What kind of colors do you think will go well? So calling and phoning a friend is really useful, and I appreciate the input that you give to me. I think you're chatting to you a few times. You're a bit hard on yourself about this dweller. I think that I don't know what I'd call it. I don't know what I'd describe it. So I'm just going to say it how it is. But the blue variation and the glow from the creature's mouth and through the veins, and you kind of have this undertone glow, like a lava type color scheme, but obviously you've gone a bit alternate here, blue. I think that's really well executed. I think that looks really fantastic. The cave troll as well. We were talking before about Rupert's troll. One thing that we didn't mention was the transition of the colors from the sort of the chest and the abdomen throughout the scales and the back. And I think that this troll again is equally well executed in that front. They're just great models. I think that there's some really advanced techniques in here that makes them really pop. And on the tabletop amongst their minions and other goblins, I think that it'd be an absolute pleasure to come across this in a friendly battle, or even just lucky enough at a tournament to face it. So really great work that you've done here, Eric, and it's great to see some more work that you've put through.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking color schemes, we were like, do a kaiju. Cool. and it's cool because it's a kaiju. I like it. Yeah, I like your troll. Like, I mean, you were telling me about how much time it took you to do the troll versus the dweller. And I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but man, the troll looks really good. The troll looks really good. I'm like, that's a movie troll. Cool. Like, it just straight up, like, it's got that distressed look. It looks dirty. Like, it just, yeah, sick. If I had to give you any feedback, get rid of the grey bases. Bases are cool, man, but like, why grey?
Well,
Well,
Nah, keep it grey, bro.
no,
look,
please don't
I
grey bases.
totally agree with you with the bases. But the problem is the rest of my goblin army is already grey bases, so they have to
Look,
be. Look, yeah, I could do a Rupert and just rebase the entire
look,
thing.
you made me rebase my Iron Hills, all right? You were
That's
you're
true.
like, it doesn't match your Khazad-dûm base. You need to do, like, it's green and they're grey and they're grey and it doesn't work, so you need to do something. I'm like, fine, I did desert bases. Like, now it's your turn, all right?
It's my turn to do
just
desert
some
bases.
mossy flock or something, or some, you know, just some little color spikes, color variation. A skull or two, maybe. Maybe some of the spider webs that we're talking about. I could, you know, different places
totally.
here and there. I think it all could look really good.
Look, the cave in The Hobbit where the dwarves go to sleep before they end up in Goblin Town was sand. Just saying it was sand. It could be desert. I want to talk about the Dweller's Face. I really like it. I think it looks great. It's probably like, it's just so good. Like, inside the mouth with the full kaiju, like, neon spit. Sick. That is cool. That is so cool. That reminds me of the Ice Balrog. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The old Ice Balrog. Super cool. Like, yeah, sick. Great job. Just change your base color. Like, cool. Do it. Put something on the base. Get some tufts. I know it was done for an army. I mean, tournament.
Yeah. All right. I'll look into rebasing it. Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for the entries. That's it for this month's entries. We had a big total of 17 if we're including the ones we put in. And yeah, look, great effort all round. And I'm really excited to see what else everyone puts in for the next one as well. So we'll definitely be doing another one in December. So the votes will go live either tonight or tomorrow morning. I will put a post up in the Facebook chat or in the Facebook group, and also any chats that we happen to be part of together. And yeah, look, every month it's getting better and better, and can't wait to see what else the community comes up with. And it's also cool to see a lot of these models are actually turning up in tournaments. You know, with the return of events. It's really cool to see some of these show up in real life as well. So yeah, really cool. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. Any last words there, Scott? Vaughn?
No, it's been a genuine privilege as ever. Everyone, thank you so much for showing us your models. These are always so cool, and it's just nice to get to nerd out. And also, it's really good to see just like high quality Middle Earth hobby. Like, yeah, feels good.
Yeah, I'm just really excited by the hobby and the people involved, and the work that they're putting forward and the time that they're investing into it. I'm always surprised at tournaments that I'm going to of meeting new faces and seeing, you know, the wide variety of you know, different armies, but also different hobby styles and approaches. So I think that's really great, and just a huge congratulations to Eric, Scott, and the rest of the Dicebearers for putting together yet another really, you know, great solid quality month of content for the community to get people talking and interacting and pushing each other forward. So it's great to be part of.
Great. And yeah, all right. Well, let's just sign out. We've got it's Sunday night, and hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll catch you very soon. You guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Ciao.